Hey guys, happy Wednesday. I'm hoping my mic is like sounding okay and working okay. But with that being said, happy Wednesday, and I'm looking forward to today's podcast episode because um I feel like it needs to be talked about, and I also just want to set you guys up for success, right? Because I think that we're in an era right now where a lot of people are going inward. They're seeking something greater than themselves. What I mean by that is, I feel like a lot of us are craving that spiritual connection with ourselves, our faith, or just craving to understand ourselves better so that way we can reach our goals and create the life that we truly desire, right? Because you can't create the life you desire without going inward. Like, it's just not going to happen. You can't get your dream body, your dream job, your all the things without going inward. You can't lead a positive, peaceful, happy life without doing the dirty work. It just doesn't happen that way. And that's kind of what I want to talk about today is what they don't tell you about your spiritual awakening and your spiritual growth, okay? And I have gone through my spiritual journey has been a long one. It's been going on my entire life, obviously. But I have experienced a lot, and I've had a lot of spiritual deaths and rebirths, especially breaking generational curses and going off on my own and starting my own business and investing large amounts of money that I didn't have into myself and reaping the rewards, and also going through the lows, right? And then also just in my own fitness journey, right? And that's kind of what I want to talk about today, okay? Because if you're someone who you're in the place right now where you're getting more into spirituality, right? Like, you're getting more into meditation, or maybe that looks like prayer to you, or journaling and shadow work, and just being more curious and kind of just practicing those things, right? I just want to set you guys up for success, because it's not just all about like peace, love, and crystals, and just all the amazing things that come with the spiritual journey. There's also a lot of contrasting sides to it, right? That bring up a lot of challenges, right? And I just want to make sure that you guys don't feel alone while you're in this process, and that you guys just are prepared, right? When you are going through your spiritual journey. What even is a spiritual awakening journey? It's simply just that, right? It's awakening to the fact that you are in control, right? It's understanding that you are not the victim in your life, that yes, circumstances may occur to you, but you ultimately are in the driver's seat of your life, okay? And that whatever is going on in our inner world will in fact reflect in our outer world, okay? So if we have certain belief systems, that will show back to us in our life, okay? That's just how it works, okay? And I'm just going to share a little bit about my journey, okay? So some of the things that are amazing about a spiritual awakening, right, is the peace that you feel. It can be, the connection that you feel with source, God, the universe, however you identify it, and yourself. It can, bring up so much just peace, and it can decrease, so much levels of anxiety and depression. And it can just make you feel like, okay, like I am embarking on the spiritual journey, and I feel so connected and peaceful, and, you feel like you're on that right track, right? But there's a lot of things that also come up that doesn't necessarily mean that you're on the wrong track, but we have to understand like what these things actually are, right? Some of those things can be self-loathing, right? I like to call it kind of like having like your spiritual honeymoon phase. Everything feels all great and dandy and happy and woo. And then all of a sudden you start to experience kind of like this massive fall from grace, and it can be incredibly lonely and frustrating. And I went through this when I quit my job, and I'm going to share that with you guys, but I want to kind of give you guys the agenda. So self-loathing, right? Loneliness, it can be fucking lonely going through a spiritual journey. You're cutting social ties and relationships sometimes, even because sometimes people just aren't, they just don't align with you anymore, right? Like they just aren't, not on that same level, but you don't connect with them the same way that you used to. You're not, the things that they're talking about, the things that they care about, you just could not give a fuck about. You know what I mean? And honestly, it could even trigger you at times. So sometimes you even find yourself having to distance yourself from people that, that were a part of your life, right? Backsliding or imposter syndrome, right? So maybe you're making all this great progress in your fitness journey and your spiritual journey, and then you find yourself backsliding. It's inevitable. It's going to happen, right? You may even experience imposter syndrome, right? And also increased ego. Okay, so this is kind of the flip side of the imposter syndrome, and it's kind of this elevated sense of self worth, kind of like this holier than thou attitude. It comes in waves, but you can kind of maybe catch yourself falling into that, like judging other people for their habits or activities that you've grown out of, and maybe feeling frustrated or angry that the people around you aren't on quote unquote the same level as you, right? So these are kind of the things that I'll be going through. And then, of course, just grieving and experiencing like this overall sadness when moving forward and growing in your spiritual journey. So before we get into that, I kind of just want to share a little bit of my experience. The biggest spiritual, I guess, awakening I had, or death and rebirth I had, was when I quit my job. Okay. I remember this clear as day. And I remember I was literally visualizing this for so long, manifesting it. And it came the day where I put in my 2 weeks, and I was so excited. I didn't feel any fear. I was just so excited, so ready, trusting in the universe and God and myself and my abilities, and just feeling so good. Now, the last day of my fitness journey came. Fitness journey, what? That text distracted me. The last day of my job came, and it was amazing. That day I worked out of a coffee shop. I just literally just felt so grateful, so in alignment, so expansive. The next day, and for that entire week, I felt so alone and lost and depressed and sad and weird, and just like, honestly, that, like, I felt like a feeling that I couldn't shake. It almost felt like this impending doom was like gonna happen. It was almost like my ego was like really looking for, it was looking at all the uncertainty in this clear canvas that I created for myself. And I was just like expecting the worst. I don't know what it was. But you know what it really felt like, guys? It felt like God had left me. It felt like my spirit guides, that spiritual connection that I had was gone. Like it literally felt like that. I know that sounds so sad, but it felt scary. Like it literally felt like I was alone, and that like God wasn't with me and my spirit guides weren't with me. And I just felt so sad and lonely and scared. And it went on for that whole week. Okay. And what I actually was then found was that throughout that whole week, I was feeling very off, and I continued to meditate. I continued to do the things, and I still wasn't feeling good. And I honestly like thought I needed, like, I thought something was wrong with me. Like maybe I need to be like, get checked out or something. Like, I don't know, because it felt like, it felt like a chemical thing, because usually meditation and prayer and all of those things usually at least after a couple days bring me back, right? And there wasn't anything that triggered me or threw me off that I could identify, right? So I honestly just felt really, really lost, and really alone. Okay. And by the end of that week, I remember I had came home and I just was so freaking tired. And I went on the couch, and it was raining outside. It was dark outside, and I was home alone. Felt really just off. And I put myself on the couch, and I fell into the deepest meditation. Okay. What I say is, like, I wasn't actively trying to meditate. I was just trying to like fall asleep, but I didn't fully fall asleep. I like fell into like a meditation. I don't know how to explain it. Like I wasn't fully asleep. I was like half asleep. And I also put on some like meditation music just to kind of like relax my soul as I kind of rested. And this whole hour, it was this just crazy experience of just visions and, just all these things just, being revealed to me through this, I guess, meditation, or half asleep process. I don't know. But what basically was being shown to me was that I was going through a huge shift. Okay. And what I actually was experiencing was something that I guess in spirituality is called the dark night of the soul. Okay. Or the void, even. Okay. And I'm looking this up right now because I want to kind of just explain it in the right way. But what I kind of experienced, I guess, was a rebirth. Okay. So it's basically this period of time where I just went through such a huge shift that I experienced this period of what they call the dark night of the soul. And it's basically described as an extremely difficult and painful period in one's life, the absence of experiencing the presence of God. It's like a spiritual dryness, okay? And thank goodness it was only a week. But some people experience this for like months and even years, right? Um, and basically that's literally what it was being told to me, shared to me in this experience. And I looked it up and I was doing all this research. I was like, oh my God, like, thank you. Like, I have answers. Like, I know what I'm going through now. And like, I can just, be at peace with it. And I woke up from that meditation and I didn't feel fully better, but I felt a little bit better. And, listening to my intuition, I felt like my inner child just needed love. You know what I mean? So I put on, I was on Netflix, I put on Shrek and my favorite movie, and I cuddled up in a blanket. I got some ice cream and I just felt so good and it just felt so right. And then I started to feel like myself again after those couple of days, right? But if I hadn't known what I knew now, right, I honestly, like, it was scary because you don't know what you don't know, right? Like, you're ignorant to the fact of that, right? And this is the whole point of me wanting to share this with you, because sometimes after meditations, you don't feel better. Sometimes you feel worse. Sometimes you make a big move in your life, you don't feel better. Sometimes you feel worse. And that's okay. That doesn't mean that it's the wrong decision. Sometimes it's just other things going on. And that's kind of what I want to go through briefly, real quick. Okay. So, what they don't tell you about your spiritual journey. And again, guys, I don't want you guys to feel fear around these things. I think that it's important to understand that acceptance is huge here and that it's a part of the process. And in this human experience, you cannot have positive without the negative, day without night, moon without the sun, yin without the yang, feminine without the masculine. Like, we all have it's a part of life. You're gonna have the good with the not so good, and I don't want to label these things as bad, right? I don't want to judge these things, but it's the other spectrum of the positive, happy-go-lucky, peaceful times. Okay, so if you are in that place right now where you're feeling so elevated, you're feeling so high vibration, you're feeling so good, embrace it, soak it the fuck in. Okay, but understand that if you feel a little bit off, that's okay. So some of the things that can go on in your spiritual journey are, one, like I said, self-loathing. Okay. So what is self-loathing? Okay. So self-loathing is essentially just, I guess the best way I can explain it is, I don't want to say self-hatred, but extreme criticism of oneself. Okay. Just like this immense feeling of just not feeling worthy, right? Like, maybe you really want to achieve these fitness goals. Maybe you really want to, I'm going to keep it on fitness because that's what I do. But like, you really want this dream body, you really want to work there. And you're just feeling this immense sense of unworthiness and self-criticism and self-loathing, right? And this isn't a bad thing, okay? This isn't a bad thing because you're being shown the dark parts of yourself for a reason. It's not so you can run from them. It's because you're strong enough now to face them head on and deal with them. Okay? Where is this coming from? Be curious about these thoughts. What is bringing this up for you? What part of yourself is struggling to feel worthy or deserving of these goals or this, desire? And how can you work around that, right? A big part of this is implementing shadow work, Shadow work is literally, it sounds woo woo, but it literally just means like it's essentially just a part of working with your subconscious mind to uncover the parts of yourself that you repress, ignore, or hide from yourself. Okay, this can include trauma or parts of your personality that you subconsciously consider like bad or undesirable or not good, so you like ignore it or repress it or try to push it away. But that doesn't work. It just makes it louder, and that's where shadow work comes in. I can do a whole podcast around that, but it's essentially just self therapy. Okay, it's nothing crazy, but it's a big part of what we implement with our clients, with even in my own life, to get out on the other side of that self-criticism. Okay, another thing as well is, again, that loneliness, right? This one hurts. It's never easy to like let go of people of your life, however, you know there's this good quote that I remember. I wrote it down here, is every good gardener knows that pruning is necessary for growth. Ooh, gotta take out the weeds, you know what I mean? Now, I'm not saying you have to cut out anybody in your life who's not on the same level as you, because everybody has different spiritual journeys, okay? If they're a good friend, if they value you, if they're supportive of your life, but they just still, they're just still like not on that conscious level, you don't have to cut them out of your life, okay? But if the people in your life are negative, they make fun of you for like, not wanting to drink, they talk about shit that you just don't give a fuck about, and like you're just draining to be around, and you honestly don't even see this person someone who's going to be long term in your life with where you're going, then that's where it can hurt a little bit, right? And you don't have to cut them out all completely, but you just might have to distance yourself, and it might be even one of those things where it's like not even a choice, it's just like you just have to, right? I remember I was so sober curious, and I still am. Like, I'm still like, not want to say battling, because I honestly, like, I like to drink, you know what I mean? I like to have a cocktail here and there, and I don't think it's unnecessary for me to cut it out completely. But I do recognize alcohol. Oh my God, it does hold me back. Okay. I'm not gonna sit here and say that I can have the balance. Yeah, like yes, balance, but it causes me anxiety. It causes me stress. It causes me to spend more money that I don't have to spend. It causes me to, feel less motivated, feel less creative, feel less clear. And there are periods of time where I just have to not drink. And it doesn't even have to do anything with like, even specifically, yeah, like my fitness goals, but even with my business, like I am not clear. If I spend like 2 days drinking, even if it's like 2 or 3 drinks, I'm not clear the whole week. Okay. And all my friends, they love to party. I mean, not party, but they love to drink. They love to have a good time. And I love them to death. And I'm never going to cut them out because, again, they are supportive. They are a great woman. And, they don't, they respect my decisions and all of that. So I don't alienate them completely. But you do start to notice that it's, even if you still have them around, you can feel more alone in the conversations. You know what I mean? And in what people are doing, right? So it can kind of hurt, but you have to look around you and understand that you are who you hang around with, essentially. And it's a sucky part of your spiritual journey, is understanding that some people, they continue with you, and some people, they just you outgrow them, right? And it sucks, but it's a part of the journey. It just is. Okay. I never had to cut out anybody in my life, because honestly, like, I've been best friends with my girls since I was really young. And again, I truly believe that I have a community of women who are, who I can learn from, in the sense of, uh I learn from everybody. They don't have to be like higher consciousness than me for me to learn from them. I learn from everybody, no matter where they're at in life. But what I'm trying to say is, I have like my millionaire friends, and like my, that community, but then I have like my OG loyal friend group who I still I'm never going to cut them out. But if you are somebody who, you have friends who don't add value to their life, they are making fun of you, they are not supportive, they're condescending. Ask yourself, like, is this actually like you feel yourself drained after hanging out with them? You're probably just gonna have to leave them behind. Okay. Moving on, backsliding. Okay. Or imposter syndrome. Ooh, wee. If this ain't one the truth, okay? Because there's been so many things that I thought I healed from, okay, or I worked on, and I'm like, damn, like the wounds still reopen. Okay, guys. I always tell like our clients or even just friends of mine or women that I work with that there's no such thing as healed. Okay. You don't just like heal from something. Okay. But you do grow from it. Right. After spiritual awakenings, or even like if you bring this into any other part of your life, like let's say you make progress in your fitness journey, you will backslide. It's inevitable. You're going to backslide with habits, with patterns, with ways of thinking. It's a part of the process. You have to think of life again like waves of the ocean. You're going to ebb and flow before you reach the shore. Okay. Experiencing like a spiritual awakening or making growth or making progress doesn't mean you're transformed into like this flawless being of higher vibrational status. Most likely you will also be painfully aware of that, right? There's going to be days where you there's going to be days where you don't feel like meditating, you don't feel like journaling or going to church or whatever it is for you. There's going to be days where you skip out on it and you swap the journaling and the meditation for 2 hours of fucking TikTok, okay? And you're going to feel guilty about it, but it's okay. No one's expecting you to be perfect. Most often, if anyone is expecting you to be perfect, it's you. And I tell this to my clients all the time. If anybody's putting hella pressure on yourself to be perfect, that's you, because I'm not sitting here as your coach expecting that from you. You're projecting that onto me as your coach, thinking I'm expecting that from you and that you're going to let me down. My goal is to serve you. I don't give a fuck if you spend a week slacking off. I'm going to help support you, but you're the one putting that pressure on yourself. So you're also the one who can relieve that pressure on yourself by being kinder, okay? When you grow, you have to understand that it's okay. Like, it's so okay to backslide. It's okay to feel like an imposter, right? You may even start to believe, have I even made any progress? When you backslide, have I even grown at all? You know? But when you replace that with love, patience, grace, acceptance, everything just it flows. Like it starts to feel a lot better, okay? So telling yourself, hey, like it's okay, and it's not always easy to do that, but with practice it is. And the last thing they don't tell you about your spiritual journey is a little bit of an increased ego, okay? And what this actually means is, again, just having maybe impatience or annoyance or frustration with other people and their habits, activities, or ways of thinking that you've kind of grown out of, okay? We have to remember that that was you not too long ago, and there's always a chance it could become you again, right? So when there's people around you being super negative and being like complaining and acting like victims in their lives, there's going to be a part of you that wants to help them, that wants to support them, but they may or may not be receptive to that. They may or may not look at you like you're crazy because they're just not on that consciousness level yet. And you have to remember, it's important to practice patience and empathy, not just with yourself, but with other people as well who aren't on that same level yet. Okay. Maybe it's your parents. Oh, I know that that's the deal for me. Like when you grow, you start to see your parents for who they are and just human. They're not these superheroes. They're humans who are still dealing with their own traumas and wounds and limiting beliefs and egos. And they're human just as you are, right? I remember whenever, like, this is just me being so vulnerable and fucking real right now, but like, obviously, a big part of what I do is sales, right? Like, I hate the word sales. Like, I feel like it has such a negative connotation, but it's soulful sales. Okay. We don't just bring on anyone into our community. We make sure it's a right fit. We make sure that it's aligned with them. We make sure that it's a good fit ultimately, that it's a soul match. It's not just, we don't look at our clients as a number or, a paycheck. We see them as human beings, okay? But a big part of what I do is helping women overcome their fears when it comes to actually signing on to coach with us, okay? And there's been times where I get fucking pissed and I get frustrated when I see a woman who we've just had so much conversations around how they're so used to holding themselves back, how they want to make change in their life, how this is what they desire and they're not there, and that they continuously don't show up for themselves and they don't know what to do, and they know that it's the right fit, but they give into their own fears. They give into their own limiting beliefs. I get a text and it's, oh, blah, 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 blah came up. Okay. And I could see through the smoke screens. It's okay. But I used to get so upset about this person falling back into their own fears. This person giving into their limiting beliefs. This person coming up with some bullshit story that they're telling themselves so they can stay the same and stay comfortable and stay safe. Okay. And that was my ego. Okay. My ego was just wanting them to just do it so they can elevate and make change. But ultimately, I had to release this person to make decisions in their own fucking life. Okay. I had to release this because I did find that I was getting a little attached to people and like what they're doing with their lives. Again, it wasn't about the money and making, getting them onboarded, right? Okay. It was about this person literally giving into their own fears again, and me feeling like wanting to control that. And that's just the fucking truth. Okay. And I had to work on that and really be like, I release this person to make their own adult decisions in their lives. And I trust God that when it is the right timing, it's going to be the right timing for them. Maybe they just need to fall on their face 5 more fucking times before they actually make that decision that's going to be right for them. And every woman that does come into our community, I'm so grateful for, because I know that it's going to be so life-changing if they're open to it, if they're open to receiving that support. And this is what we do. We help our clients give themselves that grace, that kindness when they do backslide, when they do backtrack, when they do fall into negative habits again. It's okay. Okay? So although spiritual journeys are just so beautiful, they're so exciting, and they bring so much peace and happiness, so much self-discovery, and you learn how to give yourself and others more love, kindness, acceptance, and it gives you more peace in your life. It's okay if that doesn't always look that way. And even if you don't feel like you're on the right track, you are on the right track. And even if things don't turn out exactly the way they did in your head, everything is perfect just the way it is, because God made everything to be perfect. The universe is perfect. So even if you fall off track and you spend a whole day fucking off and slacking off, that was perfect. It was perfect just as it is. And I need you to start telling yourself that more. Okay, there is no I should have done this, I could have, I would have. No, it was perfect just the way it is. I have the decision right now to change that and bring myself back into feeling better. Okay? We're all just walking each other home. And I hope that this podcast sparked some insight for you. Maybe it even provoked you a little bit. If so, I'm glad. Because that gives you something to look at within yourself and kind of identify like what kind of triggered me a little bit. What triggered me and why? Okay, where's my defenses up? And I'm excited to kind of hear your guys' thoughts and see you guys practice this in your life, okay? It's okay to not be okay. Okay? Don't obsess about it. just continue to meditate, continue to take care of your physical health, continue to nourish your body and exercise and do the breath work and continue to, prioritize that, and you will get answers. Okay. Thanks for being here with me, and I'll see you in the next potty. Bye.